relate to our economics. We are in chapter 6, the open economy, macroeconomics. Right. So what is meant by open economy actually? Open economy is where we deal with transactions of our other countries. When we have a business communication, buying, selling goods, services, anything, that economy is called to be an open economy. What is meant by closed economy? Closed economy means everything happens, the transactions happen only in that particular country. So the first 5 chapters that we discussed were under the concept of closed economy. நம்ம ஏற்கனவே டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ண GDP national income accounting இருக்கட்டும், இல்லைன்னா money and banking இருக்கட்டும், or the determination of income and employment, and finally the government budget and the economy. இந்த 5 சாப்டருமே நம்ம டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணது எல்லாமே from the point of view of closed economy. இந்தியாக்குள்ள ஒரு கண்ட்ரிக்குள்ள மட்டும் இருக்கிறப்போ அந்த எக்கானமி எப்படி இருக்கும், அது என்ன மாதிரியான சேஞ்சஸை ஃபேஸ் பண்ணும், how is money used in the country, what is the apex bank of, which is the apex bank of India, which is the central bank, what are its roles and responsibilities, or how do you calculate the GDP, how do you calculate the national income of a country, okay, what are the 3 different methods. Everything was dealt with the topic of closed economy. Right children, நம்ம என்ன பண்ணவே இல்லை, we did not talk about the foreign exchange or the involvement of foreign countries. Yes, in one place we spoke about it. Where did we speak about it? We spoke about it when we were discussing about the gross national income, GNI and NNI. How does it work? So we had to take into account of the factors of production, okay, the income earned by Indians in other countries and the income earned by foreigners in India. So how do you add it, how do you subtract it, what do you take it into value? All these things we have discussed, but we really did not talk about how these transactions takes place. Okay, we did not talk about what these transactions, how do they work, is what we never discussed. Right. So what are we going to do? We are going to talk about this in this particular chapter, which is named as the open economy. What is an open economy? It is an economy where we transact, a country interacts or a person interacts with other countries through various channels. Okay, when the country allows imports and exports, right children, when the country allows imports and exports, the individual, the citizen of that particular country is free to import or export, that is buy goods from other countries or sell goods to other countries through what? Through this open market, this open economy. That's what is called an open economy. And here we have 3 linkages. How our country or a person who is a resident of India can communicate, can transact with other countries. We have 3 concepts here. Let's see, output market, the financial market, and finally the labor market. What are the 3 children? We have the output market, financial market, labor market. Output market is where goods and services are imported and exported. The market where you buy or sell goods and services. Talking about financial market, financial assets, buying and selling of financial assets, dealing with financial assets. Labor market is when people who choose to work in the companies of other countries, that becomes labor market. So output market is என்ன பேசிக்கா நம்ம goods and services ஓட buying and selling decide பண்ற place with other countries தான் output market சொல்றோம். Financial marketல financial assets ஓட buying and selling நடக்குது. And labor marketல people workers என்ன பண்றாங்க, choose பண்றாங்க, இங்க work பண்றோமா அங்க work பண்றோமா, வேற countryக்கு போய் work பண்றோமான்னு choose பண்றது labor market. In this the exchange of goods, the movement of goods serves as a substitute for what? Movement of labor. Labors அங்க போய் work பண்றதுக்கு goods எங்க கொண்டு வந்துடலாம்ங்கிறது தான் substitution. Okay, that we discussed. And then what is foreign trade? It influences. How does it influence the Indian aggregate demand? நம்ம டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணது என்ன? Indian aggregate demand அது எப்படி வந்து foreign trade, how does it influence? So when we have a thing called foreign trade, and when we go for imports, what is imports? Buying goods from other countries is called import, right? Buying goods from other countries, that means the consumer is not ready to buy goods from our country. நம்மளோட products வாங்காம they are buying the products of other countries, so that means the aggregate demand of that product falls down. ஏன்னா நம்மளோட products domestic marketல produce பண்ணதை தவிர்த்து அவங்க foreign goods வாங்குவாங்க, so the aggregate demand falls. Right children, what happens when there are exports? That is, when foreigners have a demand for our product that is produced in the domestic economy, then the aggregate demand increases. Right? This is how aggregate demand is influenced by foreign trade. Right? Through what? Through imports and exports it works. Right children? So imports leads to decrease in aggregate demand and exports lead to increase in aggregate demand. When aggregate demand increases, of course the output also will be increased. The factors of production will get paid equally and the income increases, and relatively whatever changes are going to happen, that will happen. Right. What else we saw? And this was considered to be leakage, and this was considered to be injection. Okay, this was leakage and this was injection. Right children? Fine. What else? So we came to know that yes, even in our country when we want to go for some transactions, money is a medium that we have to use. Just like that, in foreign trade also we should have a currency, a money value to be transacted. But in this case, every country has a different currency. So we don't have a currency that is internationally accepted. Right? There is no currency that is internationally accepted. So earlier what happened? முன்னாடில என்ன பண்ணிட்டு இருந்தோம்? நம்மளோட national currency-ய கோல்டுக்கு கன்வெர்ட் பண்ணிட்டு அது மூலமா இன்னொரு நேஷனோட கரன்சிக்கு சேஞ்ச் பண்ணிட்டு இருந்தோம். Right? That is what we discussed earlier, that we exchange our product, our currency into the value of gold, and with that gold we purchase some currency. So if எனக்கு dollars வேணும், என்கிட்ட rupees இருக்கு, இப்போ எனக்கு dollars வேணும் அப்படின்னா அந்த ரூபிக்கு எவ்வளோ கோல்டு வாங்க முடியுமோ அந்த கோல்டை நான் வாங்கிட்டு then I convert this gold into dollars. Right children? Whatever currency I wanted to convert, what do? I first buy gold, and from this gold I get currency. So for example, for 1 rupee I get 1 gram of gold. With 1 gram of gold, if I get only 50 pies or half of the value of what I give, then you convert it like that. But this was very difficult in the beginning because later on it started. The gold, you need to hold a lot of gold. So நம்ம gold வச்சு தான் நம்ம exchange பண்ண போறோம் அப்படின்னா the country should hold a lot of gold reserves, which might not be possible always. Isn't it children? It might not be possible always. That is why what are we going to do? Yeah, we got into a step where this thing, gold ceased to be an asset to which it was converted, and it directly got converted. இங்க ஒரு வேல்யூ சொல்றோம் இல்லையா, it is equal to this. அந்த exchange மூலமா we started bringing directly this currency into that currency, and that was through foreign exchange exchange rate. So for 1 rupee, how many euros? For 1 rupee, how many dollars? For 1 rupee, how many pounds? For 1 rupee, how many yens? Okay. So all this we have discussed about what? Foreign exchange rate or foreign exchange rate or exchange rate. Simply exchange rate or foreign exchange rate. Then we spoke about balance of payments. Now balance of payments is the record of transactions dealing with all the buying and selling of all the goods and services with another country that we have done. Okay. So here what are the components? We have two accounts here also, just like our budget. Here we have two accounts, namely the current account and the capital account. Current account actually is about like what? Trade in goods, services and transfer payments. All these three were brought into account of what? Current account. Okay. Trade in goods means imports and exports. Trade in services means like factors of production, salaries, then the investment income. The non-factor incomes were like shipping, banking, service related work. For that whatever payment that we have received. Transfer payments means when we have some gift coupons, when we have grants, when we have aids from other countries, that was considered to be transfer payments. So government budget when namak every deficit, surplus and balance irukko adhe madri in current account also we had same. If the receipts are more than the payments, then it is said to be a surplus. If the receipts are equal to the payments, then it is a balance. The receipts are the receipts are lesser than the payments, then it is said to be in deficit. Okay, that is how we have discussed it. Now there is a small change that I want you to do in your book in page number 87. Okay, there are three boxes given, right? Balance on current account. In that, if you see, the first column is current account surplus, that is receipts more than payments. Balanced current account, receipts equal to payments. Deficit, the last one is not current account surplus. Current account surplus in irukadha, change it to current account deficit when receipts are lesser than payments. That means what happens when we have a deficit current account? That means we are a borrower from other countries. But when we say that we have a surplus current account, then that means we are the lenders. Okay, we lend to other countries is what we discussed already. Then we moved on to talk about balance of trade, where exports are mentioned in credit item and the imports are given in debit item. And net invisibles, what are net invisibles? Balance of trade spoke only about trade in goods. Trade in services and financial accounts that are not came under the topic net invisibles, right? The trade in services and the last column transfer of payments came under the topic of what? Net invisibles, right? So under the components of current account we had three children, right? What were they? We had trade in goods, then we have trade in services, then we have trade transfer payments. So out of these, this was given as balance on trade or trade balance. Okay, what was it called? Balance of trade or trade balance. Then these two things were given as balance on invisibles. Balance on invisibles. Right, children? These were the components of a current account. What were the components? Trade in goods, trade in services, transfer payments. Trade in goods were imports and exports. Trade in services, the net factor income and the net investment, and shipping, insurance, services related thing. Transfer payments, grants, gifts, aids and all those things. Right, children? Then we discussed about the balance of invisibles. Then we moved on to talk about capital account. What do we mean by capital account? It records all transactions in relation with assets. Whatever assets you are going to buy or sell, those came under the topic of capital accounts. So it had three components, namely, what are the components of capital account, children? We had external assistance, external borrowings and investments, right? So we have direct investments and indirect investments. So what are the components of capital account? We have investments, then we have external borrowings. We borrowing from outside institutions out of India, and then we have external assistance, some help sort of. So this investments were of two kinds. One was direct investment and another one was indirect investment. Direct investment like foreign direct investment பண்றது, and reinvested earnings, other direct capital flows and direct investments. Indirect investment ங்கிறது foreign institutional investments, right? So external borrowings அப்படினா external commercial borrowings நம்ம எக்ஸாம்பிளா சொல்றோம். External assistance அப்படினா நமக்கு ஏதாவது help கொடுக்கறாங்க other countries when they are giving some help during some disastrous situation, when we have faced a terrorism attack or when we have faced some natural calamities, then when other countries they give us some help, some sort of help, then excuse me, then that comes under the topic of external assistance. All this we have discussed, and finally we spoke about the balance on capital account. So capital inflows and capital outflows, two things here we have. Capital inflows, capital inflows and capital outflows, right? What were the two things? Capital inflows and capital outflows. That is when we were getting amount, when we are getting money, okay, like sale of assets, buying, selling shares, loans, getting loans. All these were capital inflows. The opposite of those, purchase of assets, purchasing of shares, giving loans or repayment of loans. All those things come under capital outflows. And how surplus comes? Surplus in capital account arises when capital inflows are greater. When it is greater than the capital outflows, then we call it to be surplus. Okay? When capital inflows are lesser than the capital outflows, then we call it to be deficit. And when they both are equal, it is said to be balanced. Right? When we have income more than the expenditures that we are facing, then it is surplus. When the receipts is equal to payment, then it is called to be balanced. When we have the receipts lesser than the payments, then we have a deficit account, is what we are discussing. Today what are we going to talk about? In this session we are going to talk about balance of payments, surplus and deficit. Remember, in balance of payments only we started discussing about current account and capital account. Now we are going to talk about the deficit and surplus in this balance of payments. We are going to have both. Just like how we saw revenue budget and capital budget, finally we had both into the account, same way. Here, first we spoke about the current account, then we spoke about the capital account. Now we are just going to see how to have a surplus or a deficit balance of payments. In this, the deficit balance of payments is actually a related topic, but I really cannot leave it out அது விட்டுட்டு we cannot move on to the next thing. So I'm just going to explain it, what it is. Okay, it's a very simple topic for you to understand. So we are not going to just leave it off. We just know for our knowledge purpose what it is. Okay. Now for exam point of view, as usual, I want you to study things for your knowledge point of view. Right, children? So what are we going to talk about? Balance of payments, surplus, and deficits. Alright, so what is it all about? It's just like us, just like an individual. If we have more expenses than our expenditures, what do? We borrow. If we have, we can plan it, we have more income, we have surplus income, we can go for lending or saving. Two options are available. So similarly, when a country has a deficit, okay, in current account, it can manage it by selling the assets or by borrowing abroad. Where does it come, children? So when the country has a deficit in current account, it can manage how? By sale of assets and borrow. Where did we discuss this, children? Sale of asset and borrowing we discuss. We said that it was capital account. Isn't it? So when we have a deficit in current account, we manage it through the sale of assets or by borrowing, which comes under capital account. So any current account deficit must be financed by what? The capital account surplus. Right. So any current accounts deficit should be managed by what? The capital accounts surplus. So how do you manage it? The current account deficit is managed by what? The capital accounts surplus. So when you match it like this, what happens? What would stay in your hand? What would be your net capital inflow? Your net capital inflow would be current account plus capital account identity 0. Why is it coming to 0? Because whatever surplus we have in current account, we are matching it with the deficit in the capital account. Right? So what is it, children? நமக்கு current accountல ஒரு deficit இருக்கு. இங்க வந்து 20 rupees for example கம்மியா இருக்கு அப்படினா capital accountல இருக்கிற surplus யூஸ் பண்ணி நம்ம இந்த current accountோட deficit மேட்ச் பண்றோம். So மேட்ச் பண்றப்போ net capital inflow எப்பவுமே என்னவா தான் இருக்கும்? 0வா இருக்கும்னா இந்த surplus capital accountோட surplus நம்ம இங்க யூஸ் பண்ணிட்டோம். ரைட்? surplus இல்ல. surplus வரல. என்ன பண்ணுவோம்? நம்ம எப்படி இந்த current accountோட deficit மேட்ச் பண்றது? We have to go for borrowing or sale of asset. கவர்மெண்டோட ஏதோ ஒரு asset சேல் பண்ணுவாங்க. அதுல கிடைக்கிற மணி வேல்யூ வச்சு இதோட deficit current accountோட deficit மேட்ச் பண்ணுவாங்க. சோ நம்ம asset சேல் பண்றது எதுக்கு? Deficit match பண்றதுக்கு. அப்போ obviously the net capital inflow would be 0. Right, children? Okay. In this case, in which a country is said to be in balance of payments equilibrium. So 0 வந்ததுனால we just call it as a balance of payments equilibrium. The current account deficit is financed entirely by international lending without any reserve movements. So என்னதான் பண்ணி ஆகணும்? We cannot wait. We just have to go for international borrowing. We have to borrow from other countries so that we manage this current account deficit. Right? The country could use its reserves of foreign exchange exchange in order to balance any deficit in its balance. So Reserve Bank enna pannalam? We know that Reserve Bank is the custodian of foreign exchanges. It can sell it. Okay, it can sell its foreign exchange when there is a deficit so that it can match this particular deficit with the surplus. Adu or asset dane. Foreign exchanges are also reserves for us. And we reserve a sell panni, we try to manage this current accounts deficit. Right, children? So this is called official reserve sale. Okay. So what is actually the official? What is official reserve sale, children? When we have the RBI selling foreign reserves, then it is termed to be the official reserve sale. Right, children? So when the RBI is ready to sell its foreign exchanges for the purpose of what? For managing its current account deficit, then that is called as the official reserve sale. Right. The decrease in official reserves is called the overall balance of payments deficit. So official reserves decrease is termed to be what? The overall balance of payment deficit. Okay. Then the official reserves that RBI holds, okay, official reserves decrease by some amount, by some 20,000 or 1 lakh. So that is actually what? Balance of payments deficit. There is an opposite situation when we have more reserves. Okay, when the official reserves increase, balance of payments is in surplus. That is when we have enough money, what do? We go for buying. We go for buying shares, we can invest it in foreign exchange. So when we have official reserves increase, when we have an increase in the official reserve, it is said to be a surplus condition in the balance of payments, whereas when there is a decrease in the official reserve, then that is called as the balance of payments deficit. That's it. Right. Fine. So what is it? We know that the official reserve transactions are more relevant under a regime of fixed exchange rates when exchange rates are floating, and when when exchange rates are floating. We are going to discuss about fixed exchange rate and floating exchange rate, but unfortunately determination of exchange rate itself is a deleted portion for us. Okay, but still we are just going to know a glimpse of what is fixed exchange rate and what is floating exchange rate in the next session. Okay, as of now, what are we going to do? We are just going to discuss about two more terms: autonomous and accommodating transactions. Do you get the word autonomous? Where have we discussed the word autonomous, children? Autonomous consumption? Very good. Where do we have this autonomous consumption, or what is this autonomous consumption? When the consumption does not have any influence on the income. எனக்கு கிடைக்கிற income வச்சு தான் நான் consume பண்ணுவேன் இல்லாம income வருதோ வரலையோ I have to go for that particular consumption means it is an autonomous consumption. So when the consumption does not have a dependency on my income, then that is called as autonomous consumption. Right, children? So now we have autonomous transactions and accommodating transactions. What do you think is autonomous transaction, children? When transactions are made due to some reason other than to bridge the gap in the balance of payments. So it is not done for the balance of payments. It has no dependency on the balance of payments, and that is called as an autonomous transaction. So what is an autonomous transaction, children? When we do transaction done not for adjusting the gap. Okay, not for adjusting the gap in the balance of payments, then that is entirely termed as an autonomous transaction. That is, it does not have a dependency on the balance of payments, right? That is, when they are independent of the state of balance of payment. I am doing a transaction to adjust this deficit that I have or to manage the surplus in Solana. I don't have any relation. This transaction has no relation with the balance of payment. That particular condition or that particular transaction is termed to be autonomous transaction. Right, children? So when the transaction has no dependency, okay, it is independent of balance of payments. Right. What happens next? What do we mean by these accommodating transactions? So these are determined, okay, on the other hand, or determined by the gap in the balance of payments. That is, whether there is a deficit or a surplus. Just to manage the gap, just to handle this gap in the balance of payments, we do some transactions that is called as accommodating transaction. Very simple to understand. Accommodating transaction is when a transaction done to what? To bridge the gap or to adjust the gap that we have. To bridge the gap in balance of payments based on the surplus or deficit in the balance of payments. When we do something to manage it, to handle it, to sort it out, when we do some transactions, they are called as accommodating transactions. Right, children? So what is the difference between the autonomous transaction and accommodating transaction? Autonomous transactions are independent of the balance of payments. They don't have any connection with the change in the balance of payments or what happens with the balance of payments. Whereas accommodating transactions are done just to adjust the problems or the surplus or deficit conditions of the balance of payments. So autonomous na தானா நடக்கிறது, அதுக்கு எந்த விதமான டிபெண்டன்ஸும் இல்லை, பேலன்ஸ் ஆஃப் பேமெண்ட்ஸ் மேலே எந்த ஒரு இம்பேக்ட், எந்த ஒரு டிபெண்டன்ஸுமே இல்லை. பட் ஹியர் அகாமடேட்டிங் டிரான்சாக்ஷன் எதுக்கு பண்ணுறோம்? நம்மளோட பேலன்ஸ் ஆஃப் பேமெண்ட்டில் இருக்கிற சர்ப்ளஸோ இல்லை டெஃபிசிட்டியோ மேனேஜ் பண்ணுறதுக்கு, அதை ஹேண்டில் பண்ணுறதுக்காக நம்ம பண்ணுற ஒரு டிரான்சாக்ஷனை நம்ம அகாமடேட்டிங்னா என்ன, வசதிப்படுத்துறதில் அதை சரி பண்ணுறது, அதை ஃபெசிலிட்டேட் பண்ணுறதுக்காக நம்ம பண்ணுறது தான் அகாமடேட்டிங் டிரான்சாக்ஷன் சொல்லுவோம். ரைட். So they are determined by the net consequences of the autonomous transactions. So how do you determine these accommodating transactions? It is due to the consequences of the autonomous transaction. அது என்ன மாதிரியான changes கொண்டு வந்திருக்குங்கிறது நம்ம பார்க்கலாம். In the official reserve sale is done entirely to manage the deficit. So that is an example for accommodating transaction. Right, children? What is this example? Official reserve sale is done for what? For adjusting the deficit or surplus situation. So that is an example for accommodating transaction. What we should know about the autonomous transaction? The balance of payments is in surplus if autonomous receipts are greater than autonomous payments. So ரெண்டுமே autonomous transaction or accommodating transaction னு சொல்றப்போ இதுல ரெண்டுமே இருக்கு. That is, it involves buying as well as selling. That is, it involves receipts as well as payments. Okay, so when the receipts as well as the payments are autonomous, that transaction is autonomous transaction. When we are planning it to do in a certain way, then that is called as an accommodating transaction. Right? Done. Now there is one more thing called errors and omissions. We will finish this class with this simple topic, okay, discussing about the errors and omissions, okay. So we are going to have errors and omissions. What are these errors and omissions? By the name you can understand. Errors are some mistakes. Omissions means you forget something and you don't add it in your account. Okay, those are called as errors and omissions. Okay, what are they? These are the third element of balance of payments. Okay, it's difficult to record all the transactions in an exact way. Something might miss out. So this is actually the third element of balance of payments, when we have something that we have missed out. Okay, this is apart from the capital and current account. We have another column called errors and omissions. Okay, they have given you an example, actually a table where a sample of surplus of payments and deficit are given for you. In that there is a column called errors and omissions. Errors and omissions na enna, when we forget or when we accidentally leave out some information. Okay, some information has been left out when you are recording it in capital or current account, and you need to add it somehow. Some missing values can be added under the third element of business of paying, balance of payments, that is called as errors and omissions. It is different from capital account and current account. It does not fall in capital or current. It's different. It is different from capital account and current account. Right, now we cannot say that whatever, only with capital account we miss some details. With current account we won't miss any. No, we don't have anything like that. This is a third element. This is entirely away from capital account and current account. We just don't say where we have missed or anything. We just have another column called errors and omissions. So in table 6.1 we have a thing, okay, balance of payments. They have given you some details. So exports are given, imports are given. So in this if you see, exports are what? Lesser than the imports. That means are we in a deficit or we are in a surplus or we are in balance? We are in a deficit because imports are more than the exports. That is, the expenditures are more than the receipts. That is a deficit situation. Then we have a separate column for the invisibles. What are those invisibles? Net factor income, net non-factor income, transfer payments. These are called as what? Net invisibles we have, and then current account balance. These two are current account balance. That is, first column is trading goods, second column is trading services. What we will do is, in the next session we will better have it on the board and we will discuss each of the topic under which category it falls. Okay, so that you can, next class you can sit with a pencil ready, so you can just make notes in your book of where it actually falls. So let's finish the topic with surplus, deficit of balance of payments. How is it going to be? When as the balance of payments is in deficit, then the overall balance is lesser than 0. It's lesser than 0. And what happens to the reserve change? It is 0. Okay, the balance is lesser than 0, and it is actually lesser than what? The reserve change itself. When it is lesser than the reserve change, then we have a deficit, we have a balance. When both are equal to 0, that is the overall balance is equal to 0, which is equal to reserve change. We are said to be in a BOP surplus. Okay, when the overall balance is greater than 0 and the reserve change. What is this reserve change, children? The official reserves, right? We discussed that. Reserve change is less than 0. We are said to be in surplus. So the balance of payment deficit, balanced balance of payment, and surplus balance of payment we have discussed. So what are the things we have discussed, children? Today we have in this session we have recalled everything that we have discussed so far in chapter 6, and we have discussed in detail about balance of payment, surplus and deficit, autonomous transactions and accommodating transactions. We'll meet in the next class with the balance of payment statement, okay, for India for a particular year, where we are going to discuss all these things. Alright, under which topic each one's fall. Everything fall is what we are going to identify. Right, children? So, thank you and may all have a wonderful day.